welcome to episode B. We certainly will not regret lettering our bonus episodes. The second bonus episode of Be Gay Solve Crimes. I am November Kelly. I am joined, as always, by my two co-hosts.
Hello, I am Lucy, your local librarian, and our final co-host.
Mia Mulder. Pronouns she, her.
Kisses for me?
Quid pro quo. Lucy.
that's too close. Yeah.
As you may be able to tell, we are watching, I would say, an artifact of high camp Hollywood transmisogyny.
Yeah.
And honestly, just really quite a good film. 1991's Silence of the Lambs.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this. It's like I knew I would be, but like after having seen it, I'm just like I can't contain myself with the bursting energy. I'm like a pupa bursting at the seams to transform into the wonderful content angel that this episode is going to be, because this is such a gem for this specific podcast to deal with. I want to be Jodie Foster, not in a Buffalo Bill way, but
who wouldn't want to impress Jodie Foster? She's a beautiful woman, and, you know...
If you're listening, you're not listening, but...
Unless...
Maybe you are. Maybe you could, yeah.
Since you're listening...
Come on the podcast, have dinner with us, or something.
Yeah, real like, heaters over the plate, like Disco Elysium. This, whatever the next thing's gonna be. This is a real, like, sort of heavy hitter of, like... trans detective fiction in a slightly different and worse way than we intended to talk about that.
Yeah, taking a brief sort of potential detour from our thesis that all detectives are trans to sort of examine a detective story that deals with themes of transsexualism that are handled so badly, so awfully, that it was not only protest at the time, but continues to get protests to this day. It is a little wretched.
I think the director has since, like, fairly recently apologized to be like, it's, obviously it's sort of a matter of regret that we put all of this shit in our movie.
Yeah. I believe that was Ted Levine, the actor that played Buffalo Bill.
Okay.
Said that he'd been educated since then, and he realizes, how lacking the representation for trans people is out there.
Nice try. In this house, we still believe in cancel culture. You don't get away with it that easily. No, but so we begin.
Posting is what I have in place of a view.
In the woods of Quantico, Virginia, where an impossibly beautiful Jodie Foster is jogging in her grey FBI Academy sweatsuit.
Yeah, this is the Yellow Brick Road obstacle course at the Quantico FBI Academy.
Who wouldn't want to be a Fed? This is before all the, like, Cash Patel shit.
Yeah.
This is before challenge coins. Back when being a federal agent meant that you got the greyest, cheapest embroidery, like, sweatshirt you could possibly get, and you were just expected to sweat through it.
It's one of these things that, like, we should be completely upfront at the beginning of this, that the FBI were very enthusiastic and very involved with this film as a recruitment tool.
Yeah, they should have been. It makes them look great. It genuinely, it works. This works on me. I come out of this movie being like, I should be an FBI agent.
I want to become an FBI agent after this. I want to study criminology. I want to...
There's a certain camaraderie here, and that's designed to get you on board.
There's some real ideology.
Yes, exactly.
There's some real ideology, particularly as she's going through this obstacle course. There's a sign sort of nailed onto a tree trunk, which has just some perfect cop ideology. It says, hurt, agony, pain, love it or die. Right? So, like, we're establishing this as, like, to be a cop, to be a Fed is an act of kind of, like, masochism, right?
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that would be voiced by physical instruments and pain tolerance in Disco Elysium, right?
Yes.
It's also playing on really interesting sort of pre-existing tropes within the horror sort of canon, because, a lot of the imagery at the beginning would be very, very familiar to people who are fans of horror films, where you have a lone woman fleeing through a forest. That's the sort of the visual language here.
But then twists. she's actually the cop.
Yeah, she is
She's actually in control. She's the protagonist, the hero.
And we find this out because she gets called into a meeting, right, with Jack Crawford, her mentor, as we're soon to find out. But in order to get there, she has to sort of, at a half jog, go through the whole of the FBI Academy, surrounded by men.
Yes.
Right?
Oh my
men
God.
who are looking at her, men who are much taller than her. Like, I don't actually know what height Jodie Foster is, but there's one shot in particular where she gets into an elevator.
She is 1'6". She is 5'3".
She's a small woman. And yeah, FBI agents, large men, sure. And she's the only woman. She's like center frame, and she is just like sort of in the shadow of every other man in there. And they're all kind of looking at her in a way that is, it's not like subtle, but it doesn't have to be. It's just like, this is how it feels. This is oppressive, you know?
It's very clear that these men are like coveting.
She gets into the lift with a bunch of people in red shirts. And gets beamed up, and the red shirts do not get out the lift with her at the end. They just
It's a secret Star Trek episode.
Yeah, we get a nice kind of like pull through, like I guess like a guns room, the room of guns, where all of these men are sort of like working on their sort of like Smith & Wesson revolvers, cleaning them.
Yeah, and the only person that she interacts with along the way is she high fives another female agent called Ardelia, who will return later in the story. But it's very gendered sort of dynamics here, where you get this constant sense that she is being completely othered by everyone there. I either viewed as sort of a piece of meat, something to eat, or which is very thematically appropriate, or just with sort of mild contempt, like she shouldn't even be there.
This is a beautiful like substitution for a title sequence as well. Like having this as like you are kind of subsumed within this big violent institution. I remember the not very good film Breach describes the FBI sort of dismissively as like a federal gun club.
Yeah, I mean, I can believe it.
She's sent into Crawford's office and she has to wait for him. And as she's like looking at the news clippings on his wall, which are about a serial killer, an active serial killer by the name of Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
On whom more later.
It's interesting that Jack Crawford here is based on the guy from Mindhunter, the guy who wrote Mindhunter, John Douglas, the head of the FBI behavioral science unit.
Yeah, in the movie, he's Scott Glenn, a guy I remember as the submarine captain from Hunt for Red October, the American one. Also looks alarmingly like my dad. Right?
He looks like so many dads here.
Really?
Like he walks in and is like, that's my dad, if he like straightened his hair or something. Well, I don't know what it was.
Do we have the same dad or something?
He's giving daddy a little bit. He's giving patriarch. He's not giving my dad, but he's giving father. I do think it's like interesting though, because like you do sort of get the vibe that this is a horror movie, but the monster is masculinity.
If you want to hear the rest of this bonus episode, then hustle on over to patreon.com/begaysolvecrimes, where for as little as £5 a month, you'll get exclusive access to a bonus episode every other week. To those of you who have already signed up to the Patreon, you are so much cooler and more handsome than all of your peers. So if you want to be cooler and more handsome than all of your peers, you know what to do.